Welcome to the Veterans Museum and Memorial Center here in Balboa Park in San Diego, California. This is Inside Military Esports presented by Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. I'm Jami Kenton.
And I'm Jeremy Smith. Today we're going to talk to some more veterans that are part of the gaming community.
Let's go inside Military Esports.
On this episode, we'll meet a Navy veteran who found a career in managing professional Overwatch teams. Glenn Banton tells us about OSD and their mission to bring 1 million cups of coffee to troops overseas. Veterans band together to raise money for an important cause. And USMC veteran and event operations manager at Game Arena, Keven Barrera, talks about diversity and inclusion.
Jeremy's got our first story today. Let's take a look.
Joining me today is Navy veteran and professional esports team manager Debbie Chun, known online as T-Bubbles. Debbie, thanks for being here today.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So you've worked as a team manager in the Overwatch League. What's the day-to-day job like for a team manager?
Well, there really is no typical day-to-day as things change all the time, but often work would start as soon as I open my eyes in the morning. I would receive messages and emails from things that happened overnight, and I would have to adjust the plans accordingly for that day. But mainly my duties include a lot of planning and scheduling the players day-to-day, like practice times and media interviews and content, as well as problem-solving players' real-life issues outside of gameplay, like taking them to the doctors, accompanying them to anything that a parent or a guardian would.
And for a lot of these players, it's their first time living away from home, right?
Yes.
So what's that like, being basically a big sister to everybody on the team?
It's fun. It's fun. I'm a big sister in my family, so it kind of comes naturally. I have 2 younger siblings.
So you got some job training at home, right?
Yes.
You've been a gamer for most of your life. How did you transition from being a gamer to a esports team manager? That's not a one-step process, right?
No, it's not. So I've been a longtime gamer ever since my Navy days. So as gaming became popular, I knew I wanted to get into esports. So I managed some teams before Overwatch League came to be a thing. So every team was a learning experience, and those experiences led me to amazing opportunities that I have today.
And did you game much while you were in the Navy?
I gamed a lot in the Navy. Probably shouldn't say that. No, we worked really hard in the Navy. We played hard. We worked hard. So when I joined the Navy, I came in as a culinary specialist. At that point, I was 19 years old, and I really didn't have much experience cooking. Maybe a grilled cheese sandwich. I rocked at making cereal, but didn't have any cooking experience whatsoever.
And so what do they teach you in the Navy?
They taught me everything as far as culinary arts goes. I learned how to cook. I learned how to bake. I learned anything that has to do with cooking.
How did your time serving in the Navy prepare you for the job that you had?
It gave me skills such as flexibility and teamwork and planning skills. And it's going to sound cheesy, but the Navy core values, which is honor, courage, and commitment. So for honor, it's about maintaining professionalism and personal behavior, which I tried my hardest to make sure that my social medias were clean and there was nothing controversial there. Courage, standing with integrity and overcoming obstacles with the highest standards of personal conduct. And commitment, which is, esports is a lot of commitment. It's striving for positive change and to improve the quality of everything that we do as a team.
What are your plans for the future, both as a gamer individually and professionally?
So currently it's off season in Overwatch League, so I'm really enjoying my time off. But my goals and plans for the future is to keep helping esports grow, spreading positivity against the negative stigma that it currently has. And a way to defeat an adversary is to make them a friend. So to be able to do that and bridge that gap would be a wonderful thing.
Have you made friends through gaming?
I've made a lot of friends through gaming. Actually, most of my friends that I have now, I've met through gaming over the years.
It was a pleasure speaking with you today, Debbie. Thanks for joining us on the show.
It's an honor to be here.
Hey, Jamie, do you know the opposite of left front?
What's that?
We'll be right back.
Hey.
Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving the armed forces, veterans, and their families for over 85 years. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA.
It's time for this week's Navy Federal Credit Union Spotlight.
Our next guest on the show here today is Glenn Banton of Operation Supply Drop. Glenn, thanks for being here today.
Appreciate y'all having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about Operation Supply Drop?
I guess at the top level, OSD is a veteran support ecosystem. So we're known for our supply drops, as you said. We've been sending video game care packages downrange for almost 9 years at this point. But additionally, within our ecosystem, we have 3 pillars: social connectivity, professional development, and community service. And we're just making sure that our service members and our veterans, as well as their families, are able to thrive through various programs in a sustained manner over time.
Some of those programs that you've done are things like job training or community events?
Absolutely. So we do a lot of professional development workshops with the likes of Google and Facebook and Oracle, also with actually a number of gaming companies. So Xbox and Microsoft are a great partner. And then really what it comes down to is, especially if somebody's transitioning out of the service, how do we get them re-engaged in their community? Not just for themselves, but also just so the society at large can continue to understand what a veteran is, what they're able to bring to the table, and the veteran and again their family members are able to have that purpose of service. That a lot of times that's why they ended up joining in the first place.
You're not a veteran yourself, correct?
So I'm a civilian. I've been working with veterans for probably 15, 16, 17 years at this point. So I believe, through my own efforts as well as OSD, and it's really the broader message to society of what I believe we owe our veterans is it's to help bridge that network gap. When you look at the different things we're dealing with in life and mental health and wellness, it's about having a community you can be a part of, real relationships where you can share experiences. And the best way to, help veterans get to that point is to share your network. It's certainly fulfilling, and it's a message we love to share.
What was it that got you personally involved with Operation Supply Drop then?
It wasn't always just about the video games. About 2013, 2014, which was shortly after I had joined, asking a lot of these men and women that came back home, what else would you like? What other services? And, when somebody gets out, if somebody becomes a veteran because they're no longer in the service, at best, they're interacting with 17 different organizations, and those organizations don't communicate with one another. But at worst, those organizations are actually hostile. And we always thought that was ridiculous. How can we be be the Switzerland, if you will, and this whole thing, and not just find those gaps and bridge them, but also fill in the holes with different programs that maybe exist in one city but not in another. The most rewarding part of my job, hands down, is actually seeing a veteran get to the point where they feel comfortable again. And I know that's a very subjective thing, but I've worked with a lot of men and women directly that as they're getting out, again, it's trying to figure out that purpose. What are they trying to do next? How can they have additional fulfillment while meeting the needs of their family? And being able to work with these folks one-on-one and see them come through it, and a year, 2 years, 3 years later, them get to the point where they're able to give back to the next person. That's the part that's most heartwarming. That's why I love to wake up in the morning. It's almost cliche, but it's that it's that pay it forward mentality.
You mentioned that OSD doesn't just do video games downrange, and currently you're doing a huge promotion to send 1 million cups of coffee to troops.
Yeah, that's an insane undertaking, but I think that's what we're known for at this point is, how can we do these massive, memorable moments? So obviously it's not just about the coffee, it's about what that does. So we're in the midst of it. It's with our partners, Black Rifle Coffee Company. We're sending 1 million cups. And for reference, we've actually sent over the past couple years across a lot of different coffee partners, which include Starbucks and Cuvée and a number of different craft roasters. I think what it was the last calculation is 2.6 million cups. So we're just going to start increasing that more. So this one has a really short fuse because we're getting it overseas in time for Christmas, which means, over the course of November, we have about 3 weeks to ship what amounts to about 8 tons of coffee to the other side of the planet. But there's going to be a lot of real happy troops getting some incredible freedom beans, as I love to call them, from our friends over at Black Rifle.
Well, thank you for joining us on the show today, Glenn, and thank you for everything that you and everybody at OSD does for the troops.
Hey, it's absolutely my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to Inside Military Esports. I'd like to just take a minute and talk about something that's important to me. There's a charity called Extra Life that raises money for sick children in Children's Miracle Network hospitals. These hospitals do all of this free of charge and rely on donations to help these families. This is something that I've done multiple times. It's a cause that I believe in as I have children myself. What Extra Life does is it encourages gamers to take part in a game day, a 24-hour marathon of playing video games, board games, and hanging out with friends. Anyone who's interested in donating can make a one-time donation or a recurring donation to help out the charity. All that money then goes to help support those Children's Miracle Network hospitals. Some veterans recently banded together and raised money for a cause that they believe in. I had a chance to catch up with one of them and talk about why he decided to do it.
I was told by a friend of mine, and he critiqued my stream a few months ago. And he said, I'd like to see you get more involved with charities. And he's like, you need to find a charity that you can really, bond to and that you really feel passionate about. So I was talking to Nerf Rogue, who's a part of the charity team. And he was like, dude, why don't we do a charity for 22 Kill? And I was like, I'd never heard of them before. So I went and I research a lot, and looked up who they were and what they did and that sort of thing. And, everybody's heard about, 22 veterans a day commit suicide. And, from my own personal standpoint, it's something I've struggled with too. And, I've had friends close to me who have become one of the 22, and so it dawned on me. It's like, this is something that is a community that I'm a part of, that I love, and that not enough people know about. So basically, when I found 22 Kill, it really hit home because like I said, I struggle with it every day. Every veteran does. Anybody who's been a vet within the last 15 years struggles with something, and and they contemplate the suicide, and and some people don't do it and get find the help that they need. Some take that way out, and I want more veterans to understand that that we're all thinking about them. They're not alone, and that they're loved, and that that there are ways to go get help and and take care of themselves better. So it's just it just hit home. It hit hard. It's hits close to home for me. So so the charity team's made up of 5 of us. We're all veterans. Every single one of us is veterans. Shellback Tech builds PCs for disabled veterans. Nerfed is a big advocate for the veteran community. King is another big advocate. Nick is another one. So we're all really we've become a very tight knit group. I met all these guys. I don't know any of these guys in real life. I met all of them through Twitter and other means. They're fellow streamers, obviously, and it's one of those things. It's like, when you meet fellow veterans on social media, you're not really sure, what to think, because, everybody's experience is different. But I feel like that we've all come together for this common cause because it affects us every day, because each one of us struggles in some way or another. So I did one charity stream before. The Hunt is what it was called for Guardian Con, which is something King Gathalion puts on every year for the convention, and it was for St. Jude's. We raised $770, which I thought was fantastic for my first ever stream. And then after that, it really got me thinking that I really want to get involved in charity, but I've enjoyed it. I'm going to enjoy watching everybody stream tonight, and I'm going to be up real late tonight watching everybody and supporting them as much as I can.
Much like these veterans and myself, there are plenty of people who want to get involved in raising money for charity. If there's an organization or a charity out there that means something to you, do something about it. Fundraise for them, advertise for them, retweet their posts. Whatever you can do to get involved, it's a great feeling to be able to help out other people. We'll be back with more Inside Military Esports presented by Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Navy Federal Credit Union, proudly serving the armed forces, veterans, and their families for over 85 years. Our members are the mission. Insured by NCUA.
And we're back here on Inside Military Esports presented by Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Let's check out this next story.
Joining me on the show today is Keven Barrera, USMC veteran and the event operations manager at Game Arena in Hilliard, Ohio. We've featured Game Arena on the show before. Thanks for being here today, Keven.
Thank you so much for having me.
What is it that drew you to that position?
We host events regularly, weekdays, weekends, and the great thing about event operations is meeting all the right people involved. It really draws me there because I'm a really big people person. And the most important thing about me is I always want to learn from others so that I can become better myself. And that goes hand in hand with what I've learned in the Marine Corps as well, too.
What is a common thread between serving in the Marine Corps and being a gamer?
The diversity and the people involved. They come from many different backgrounds and lifestyles, but they come together for the main common goal, whether it be video gaming or serving the country or protecting freedoms. They interact, they work together, they promote, positive work ethic, they promote diversity and just also open-mindedness. We all know in the military in general, we're a big melting pot. I met so many different people at a very young age, which allowed me to, grow as a person and take that experience outside of the military and into civilian life. I meet so many people every day through gaming that I would probably never meet in my entire life if it weren't for gaming or esports.
Was there anything about your gaming career that's led you to want to learn new things?
Honestly, being into gaming has broadened my horizons in regards to technology. Ever since I played video games at a young age, I was interested in computers, how they worked, how they're built. My interest in the internet, chat rooms, communities, and just learning more about technology is because of my interest in video games. I believe that esports and gaming is an outlet or a gateway to learning more about technology and other facets of business as well too when it comes to marketing, business development, operations, things of that nature, because there's always a machine behind the product that you see.
And what are your plans there at Game Arena as well as your personal plans for the future?
My plan at Game Arena is to make the best place for any type of gamer to come and enjoy their games while also meeting new people at our Game Arena. The most important thing is always giving the best positive experience for any customer that comes into Game Arena so that they come back and they feel like a sense of community, and also that they feel at home and not being judged for what game they play, for who they are, or the thing that they love. And that's the thing about gaming is anybody can game, no matter who you are. The accessibility to gaming is crazy. I've seen a player who regularly comes to our Super Smash Bros. Event on Thursday who is missing a limb, but plays Super Smash Bros. Using a controller, but he also plays League of Legends on a keyboard and mouse. Regardless of the limitations, disabilities, or who they are, they still play video games and they do what they can because they love what they do.
It's a way to connect and be inclusive to everybody.
Most definitely. Well, so when I first started off in gaming, I started this company called Outer Haven. Our end goal was to open up a gaming lounge, but at first we wanted to engage the community to kind of put our brand out there And so what we started to do was to host events. Our first event was kind of like a basement LAN at a friend's house. And our first event, we had a great turnout. It was mostly friends, but friends of friends also joined us, and people I'd never met before. Well, Overwatch just came out on beta, and 3 individuals were playing, including my brother. And they played a match, and they won the match. And after that match, they turned around and fist bumped each other and just like, good game, good game. They've never met each other in their life. But after that match, they had camaraderie. They had this connection just from this video game. And just seeing that moment, I was like, this is what I'm in it for. Like this right here, this is why I'm doing this, because of this connection that they just made and the relationship that they're developing right there.
Well, Keven, thanks for taking the time to talk to us a little bit today about your service, your time at Game Arena, and what you're doing with Outer Haven.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
That's going to wrap it up for us here on Inside Military Esports, presented by Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. If you have a great story to tell, make sure to contact us.
We'd like to thank everyone who was interviewed for the show today, as well as all our active duty service members. I'm Jeremy Smith.
And I'm Jami Kenton. For all of us here at Inside Military Esports, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.